don't care about pain anymore. More important than pain is the sin pulse that's rising within me. I feel as though there's something violent boiling up from within. Let go. Let go of everything. Let go! How familiar, my fated foe. You would have him tread the same path as the demonic path.
Imagine a weapon that doesn't kill you, but makes you wish it would. Imagine an armor that doesn't protect you from damage, but instead forces your body to ignore it completely. Broken bones, fatal wounds, organs torn apart. And you keep fighting as if none of it happened. This isn't a fantasy within a fantasy. This is the Berserker Armor, one of the most terrifying and dangerous cursed treasures in the entire world of Berserk. In this video, we're going to break down everything about this armor. Who forged it? Who wore it before Guts? How Guts himself got his hands on it? And the real price every single person who dares to put it on has to pay. If you're a Berserk fan, this video will completely change how you look at this weapon. Let's get into it. Let's get one thing straight first. The Berserker Armor is not just a piece of gear that gives you bonus stats, like in a video game. It's something closer to a semi-living object, charged with a mysterious spiritual energy called Odd, which reacts directly to the rage and emotions of whoever wears it. When someone puts on this armor and lets their anger take over, something horrifying happens. The armor severs the connection between the mind and the body when it comes to pain, fear, and exhaustion. That doesn't mean the wounds actually heal, or that the attacks stop having a real effect on the body. Quite the opposite. The body keeps absorbing every bit of damage, but the mind no longer receives the warning signals that would normally make a human being stop. So the injuries pile up, the damage accumulates, while the wearer keeps fighting as if nothing happened at all. The result? Someone who can fight with a shattered spine, broken bones, severe internal bleeding, like a machine that doesn't know fatigue. But this superhuman power is, at its core, a lie. It's not real healing, not a real enhancement of the body. It's just a brutal postponement of an inevitable collapse. And as if that weren't enough, the armor itself starts to physically transform once the wearer reaches the peak of their rage. The helmet shifts shape, taking on a massive, savage jaw that mirrors the beast of darkness lurking inside Guts' mind, and the eye sockets begin glowing with a blood-red light. At that moment, the wearer's face disappears completely behind the mask, as if the armor isn't covering the body anymore, but swallowing it whole. The real problem with the Berserker Armor isn't just physical. It's psychological. First and foremost, every single time the wearer fully surrenders to their rage and lets the armor take complete control, they edge closer to losing themselves entirely. The Odd that fuels the armor doesn't distinguish between friend and foe if left unchecked. It feeds on raw anger and gradually turns its wearer into a bloodthirsty creature incapable of telling apart who it's fighting and who's standing right beside it. In other words, the Berserker Armor doesn't just give you the strength of a monster. It borrows your mind in exchange for that strength. And every time you use it, the loan grows, and you get closer to the moment when you won't be able to take yourself back. This is exactly why Guts goes through a genuine internal battle every single time he uses the armor. Not just a fight against his enemy, but a much deeper struggle against the beast of darkness inside him, the entity that took shape after the night of the eclipse, when he lost almost everyone he loved. At its core, the armor is a mirror of that old psychological wound. It offers him an easy escape from his pain. But it's a path that leads directly to losing whatever humanity he has left. To understand how dangerous this armor really is, we need to know where it came from. The Berserker Armor wasn't made by ordinary hands. It was forged by a legendary dwarf blacksmith named Hanar, who is said to have infused the metal with a strange spiritual energy that aligns itself with whoever wears it. That single detail tells us everything. This armor was never designed as a conventional protective weapon. It was built as a tool that manipulates the boundaries between body and soul, almost as if it were deliberately crafted to be a brutal test for anyone who dares to put it on. Long before the armor ever reached Guts, it had another owner, a legendary king who, over 1,000 years ago, is said to have unified an entire continent under his rule. Emperor Gaiseric. Scattered hints throughout the story suggest that Gaiseric waged countless wars, wearing this very same armor, using its superhuman power to build and expand his empire. But, as is always the case with anyone who touches this cursed treasure, the price was devastating. On the night of a horrifying eclipse, the God Hand was summoned, and Gaiseric's entire empire was sacrificed. Everything he had built, gone in a single night. From that moment on, the king known as Gaiseric vanished from history as the world knew him, and in his place rose an entirely new being, the Skull Knight, that enigmatic, skeleton-clad warrior who has roamed the world for 1,000 years, hunting for a way to destroy the God Hand and take his revenge. What makes this even more chilling is that the Skull Knight himself directly confirmed to Guts that he was a previous wearer of this very armor, and warned him in no uncertain terms about its dangers, if Guts wants to keep going as a human being. In a way, the armor places Guts on the exact same path a lost king once walked centuries ago. A path that ends with the complete loss of one's own self. After the fall of his empire, the one who would become the Skull Knight didn't keep the armor for himself. Instead, he entrusted it to an old friend, the witch Flora, Shirka's spiritual teacher, who lives in a mysterious mansion grown into the heart of a great spirit tree, deep within the forest. For years, the armor stayed locked away, hidden far from the eyes of the world, as if Flora fully understood that this treasure should never fall into just anyone's hands. But fate, as it always does in the world of Berserk, had other plans. After a long and painful journey, alongside his new companions, Isidro, Farnese, Shirka, and the others, events lead Guts to Flora's mansion, where Shirka reunites with her teacher, and Guts comes face to face for the first time with the weapon that will change his life forever. But things don't go smoothly. Suddenly, the place is stormed by a group of Griffith's apostles from the reborn band of the Hawk, led by Grunbeld, the apostle with control over fire and metal, alongside Zod, one of the most powerful apostles in the entire series, who carries an ancient grudge against the Skull Knight himself. In the middle of this brutal assault on Flora's mansion, Guts decides to put on the Berserker armor for the first time, realizing he's facing an enemy that goes far beyond his usual human and swordsman limits. And the moment he surrenders to his rage and activates the armor, the balance of power shifts completely. He becomes able to stand his ground against Grunbeld, one of the physically strongest apostles in the series, eventually forcing him to transform into his full apostle form, just to escape a humiliating defeat as a warrior. From that moment on, the Berserker armor became an inseparable part of Guts' arsenal, and his only real means of confronting beings that exist far beyond the limits of any human. One of the most haunting and thought-provoking moments in this storyline is the armor's ability to transmit something like a blood memory, an emotional imprint left behind from the final moments of a previous wearer. At one point, Guts and Shirke are allowed a glimpse into the Skull Knight's past. The moment Gaiseric's empire collapsed, the moment a king transformed into something else entirely, neither fully human nor a ghost, but a being trapped between the living and the dead, wearing armor that looks more like a coffin than protection. This detail alone confronts Guts and everyone following the story with a terrifying question. Is this the fate waiting for him too? Will he, after years of wearing this armor, eventually become another version of the Skull Knight, trapped between two worlds, having lost whatever humanity remained? What makes the Berserker armor one of the deepest elements in all of Berserk isn't just its terrifying design, it's what it represents. This armor is a physical embodiment of the idea that in Guts' world, pain has become a kind of drug, the only way he knows how to escape the memories of the eclipse, Griffith's betrayal, and Casca losing her mind. Every single time Guts puts on the armor, he is, in truth, choosing to run forward instead of confronting his psychological wounds head on. And that's exactly what makes the story so tragic. The very weapon that protects him from his external enemies is the same one pulling him closer and closer to the internal collapse he's trying so desperately to outrun. The Berserker armor isn't just a power upgrade in Guts' journey. It's one of the deepest symbols in the entire world of Berserk, a constant reminder that every great power comes with a price, and that the most dangerous enemy Guts faces isn't apostles or monsters, but his own rage, and that dark part of himself threatening to swallow him whole the moment he gives in to the temptation of limitless power. And the question that lingers: will Guts end up sharing Gaiseric's fate, trapped forever between life and death? Or is there another path ahead of him, one the Skull Knight never found? Let us know what you think in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of Berserk.